welcome back to the show. GreenFeen OrganiX is a woman-led, worker-owned cooperative business that's focusing on environmental justice and waste equity right in the South Bronx. Now, their main purpose is to engage the community through public education, as well as outreach and partnerships with local farms and urban gardens. We're pleased to have joining with us the founder and director of operations at GreenFeen OrganiX, Dior St. Hillaire, and good to have you.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You are out there in the field doing the work, so
I am out here in the field doing the work.
Well, listen, we want to make sure our guests know that you're not just behind some guests. You're out here doing the work. But for somebody who doesn't know about GreenFeen OrganiX, give us a little bit more.
Absolutely. So GreenFeen OrganiX, as you already mentioned, is a local worker-owned cooperative. For us, our focus is really on hyper-local processing so that we can limit the amount of waste that needs to be exported out of the city, but also being able to provide a green job training program for young people to be able to reconnect them back to the environment where normally they may not necessarily do that. So our work is really around making sure folks kind of bring this connection of closed loop systems. And so, a lot of times we talk about farm to table, and at GreenFeen OrganiX, we're here to prioritize table back to farm and do it in a way that empowers community to be able to be self-determined.
So for somebody who doesn't know, I want to go over a couple of terms. Talk to us a little bit about the word compost. What does that mean?
Absolutely. So, I use hip hop. So people ask me what compost is. I tell them compost is black gold from deep in your soul, edible into incredible for farmers to grow. And so essentially compost is natural organic fertilizer, right? And what it is going to happen anyway. I say compost is human assisted decomposition because this will happen anyway. And so compost is what you use. You take your old food scraps, you mix them with some brown dry material, and over time with the right conditions, you get a humus-like material that you can reapply back to soils in order to help enrich it and help the plants be stronger and healthier.
So when we talk about this and how it translates into being something else. And so what happens from compost? Where does it go from there?
Yeah, so basically we start with the food scraps, right? And so that's the important part. That's the part that we're like, we have a rally that happened last week. And so that's kind of what the push is, right? The push is to get more people in New York City comfortable with diverting their food scraps, to actually say, you know what? I will not put this valuable resource in the trash. So I think that that's really the first step, is to get folks to kind of separate their food scraps. But within the process, we have the food scraps, we mix it with a brown material, and it is through our process of turning, aerating, and all of that to sifting it. Once we sift the compost, we literally just put it on the soil. People go into the store and they buy synthetic fertilizer to put on their soil to help their plants to grow. The miracle grows, to help their plants to thrive. But we're creating that from material that we're using right here in our backyards in our city.
So this has the opportunity also to be able to do something more, which is possibly land some green jobs. Give us the correlation between how compost really helps with green jobs.
Absolutely. I would love to answer that for you. So obviously we have our young people that actually work out in the garden. They actually are hand turning, right? A lot of these compost piles, they're dealing with the education, right, within the community so that more folks can learn about it and know about it. We're actually out on a site visit right now at Big Reuse out here in Queens with our young people, showing them a composting system on a larger scale. So these green jobs are jobs that are specifically meant and centered on stewarding the earth. Unfortunately, this has been looked at traditionally as volunteer sort of work and labor work that is, people are calling, I got to call them back about the composting work. And so essentially, it's really important that we bring the importance of this being paid labor, that it's a sanitation type of labor, but it is a green job because it's about environmental stewardship, and it deserves to be paid. It is not something that just needs to be volunteer labor, but that we need to value and actually ingest as a part of our sanitation system here in New York City.
So when we look at what's going on around New York, we hear a lot more about a push for a green economy. We hear a lot about climate change and really how we really need to be taking care of our community. When you look at what's happening right now, are you satisfied with what you're seeing by way of awareness? Do enough people know?
Absolutely not. And I think that that's one of the concerns that we have, is that we would like to see sanitation in our city council actually put more money behind education and outreach, because what we've seen is that just building the infrastructure without the actual knowledge or buy-in from the people to participate, we've already seen the failure of some programs that have come before. So I think that what it's really going to take are creative organizations like mine, right? Like that are using hip hop in order to be able to promote this messaging and invite people in. Organizations like BK Rod, that's actually creating training programs for young people to attach to these kinds of experiences. So I do strongly believe that, no, I'm not quite satisfied. I don't think too many people are in it. I'm happy to see the direction that the city's going in, and I believe that we have people in city council that are here to fight for this and fight for the right thing, not only for the people and the health of the people, because this is a public health concern. Let me be clear. If we think about the current sanitation practices that we do have. And so just to see our city council members putting some energy behind that, I think is excellent. But I think that we do need to put some more funding behind education and outreach in a very, very real way, and let communities talk to each other so that we can kind of come into this behavioral shift that's necessary for this to be a successful program.
So when you have the community out there, obviously they're becoming more and more aware, but what can they do from the beginning to get more involved, to have a green hand in this?
Yes. So I would say that one of the things that could happen is, one, get out to your local food scrap drop-off locations, right? That's the best way to start connecting with the built infrastructure. Go volunteer at a local community garden. You can come to us, right? We're at Synergy Urban Garden. We're right there in Community Board 3, right there in 1211 Hoe Avenue. And you can come and compost with us and see what's happening. We'll have a little, little freestyle. We might do a little boogie down basuda cipher. We have a good time there. Definitely get out to your local community gardens. If you visit the Green Thumb website, I'm actually representing them right now. These are the people who steward the parks lands for community gardens. Go on their website. You can find a local community garden closest to your neighborhood. Go on DSNY's website to figure out where the compost drop-off locations are. Volunteer with GreenFeen OrganiX. If you want to know all things compost, especially in the Bronx, we should definitely be your first stop. So yeah, those are some ways that you can start off. There's also a master composter training course. But I think that that's for people who really want to nerd out about this stuff. But if you're just like trying to get your feet wet, like, okay, I just want to see what's going on, come for a tour visit at Synergy Urban Garden, and we can tour the site and the systems for you so that you can kind of get some hands-on experience.
You're very grounded and rooted in this. Talk to me about your inspiration. What was it really that sold you on, I really need to make my community better through this area of environmental justice?
Oh man, woo, where did it start? Okay, it started with Karen Washington when I first learned about bugs as the organization. And so I heavily got into urban agriculture and farming, and I started doing apprenticeships on farms, and was just kind of growing my work and growing food. And I was bothered by the fact that we kept talking about farm to table, and I was like, but nobody's gonna give it back. Like, we're just gonna be like, oh yeah, farm to table, I'm healthy, I'm eating green, I'm at the farmer's market, and I'm gonna throw my scraps in the trash. I was like, the disconnect. What are we doing? So I think that heavily informed that there was a need, and I saw something that was missing, right? And then you fast forward to the South Bronx being an environmental justice community that handles over 30% of the city's waste because of the waste transfer stations that were sited, right, in these poor communities intentionally, right? I also do work with the Bronx Swab, and all of that to say that for me, I said, wow, we don't have access to our waterfront because we're handling trash. Wow, we're so devalued that people think that we're only good enough to handle garbage. Like, nah, we can make beauty out of this. And so I started putting my energy into learning as much as I could about the structures that existed within the city, and then really just immersed myself in everything, really. And then from there, that kind of took me to the master compost training course, and it has literally, my love for everything has just grown from there the more that I learned. But I felt like one of the reasons we're a worker-owned cooperative is because, again, self-determination is very important. Trying to make this system less centralized, decentralizing even the system of waste is something that I'm very, very passionate about. I believe that we are affected by the problems that we didn't create, but we most certainly have the solutions. And so that is what drives me, is being able to bring young people into it so that they may learn power, but also to be able to bring my people back to the land, because we have a traumatic relationship with it. And this is a way that we can reconnect back to it with joy. So that's really what moves me and drives me to do this, do this work.
Yeah. So for people who want to get connected, what do they do? How do they become a part?
Yeah, definitely follow us on social media. That's always the thing, follow, right? But really, if you want to get tapped in, you need to join our volunteer list. Because one of the things for us is like we're very connected. And so it's important that like if you want to talk to us and see us, you got to come out, right? It's not just you want to experience us from the far. We're better in person. Like some people are like, don't text me, girl. I'm like 2% text. I'm like 20% on the phone, but baby, when you see me in person, it's 100%. And that is very true and reflective of GreenFeen. So come out, with us, join the email list, the volunteer list, and yeah, come join the family.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. I think it's great that you are taking this initiative, leading this initiative, and hopefully we'll get more people connected. Great having you with us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
All righty. We want to let you know if you want more information, I'm going to give you the screen. I'm going to get to the screen right here and tell you how you get more information. What you do is you can visit the website. And the website is GreenFeenOrganiX.com. Again, GreenFeenOrganiX.com. Want to take the time again to thank Dior for being with us. And don't go anywhere because Oprah will continue right after this.